Morning Blitz begins now.
Good morning, 6:07. Kelly Quinn, Thick Rick on a Wednesday. How are you, Kelly?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Pretty nice day today. Some sunshine, high 58. I haven't increased my drinking like most people.
Oh, most people are drinking more.
Man, excessive drinking habits way up. You know, they jumped up during COVID.
Yes, I do remember that.
People started drinking.
And we never went to rehab, huh?
No,
we're all just still just motoring forward on that alcohol consumption.
Piling on even more.
All right.
Yep. Big increase in 2020. Big increase from 2020 to 2022, and apparently it's up even more now.
Oof.
Researchers say that it became more normalized during the pandemic.
When wasn't it normalized?
Well, I know, right?
It always interesting. There was seemed like a boom, and maybe it was just the internet that showed us about all the, are they like the wine moms?
Yeah.
The women who like crack open a bottle of wine at noon.
Yeah, right. Wine with the wine.
That's true.
What was that, 2 o'clock every day?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I've never been a big drinker. I do like to drink at concerts. That's when I drink.
Yeah.
I do drink at a concert.
I've seen you lit up pretty happy at a concert before, a time or two.
Little Jaeger?
Yeah, that's right.
Jack
Little
Fire?
Jaeger. We know Jaeger Rick. We've heard you before.
But, just mainly very social.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not one who recovers from alcohol consumption very well.
That's my problem.
Yes, and I typically will get a headache during consumption, especially wine. Mm-hmm. Like, while I'm drinking a single glass of wine, the headache starts.
Really?
So I don't know if it's an allergy or a sensitivity, but to me it's just, when I think about drinking, it sort of makes me sick to my stomach a little, so I just avoid it. I don't feel great while I'm drinking, and I don't feel great for a couple days after. So what am I doing here?
Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, we just heard talking about the fall foliage.
Yes.
I would need to drink to drive around and look at fall foliage.
No, why? You're not a fall foliage guy?
I mean, when it's really cool when I'm on the boat at the lake, because that's the whole thing all the way around you is just colorful leaves. But if you're going to ask me to go drive around, you're driving, I'm drinking while we're driving.
I gotcha. It's kind of like Pink Floyd and the Wizard of Oz. It enhances the experience.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm not going to say what it is yet, but Kelly and I were on a text with another friend yesterday, and Kelly found out something I have never been to before, and she just was in shock.
I didn't believe it at first. We were on a little group text with another friend, and I was like, "There's no way this is true. I cannot believe it. I can't wait to talk about this." I mean, it's something silly. It's nothing huge, but I was a little blown away, I must say.
Yeah. And we'll see what other things people haven't done.
Yes.
In Columbus, because this is specific to Columbus.
Right. What did you miss before it was gone?
Yes, we'll get into that coming up just after 7:30. I was laughing at your response. Like you just weren't having it. No, this isn't true.
I couldn't believe it, and then you go, "I was poor." That was your response to me. It was like, I can't wait to talk about this.
All right. We've got Morning Blitz trivia right now. $25 up for grabs to waterbeds and stuff if you're the first one to text in the correct answer at 99700. PETA has placed a billboard outside what North High Street restaurant here in Columbus? PETA has put up a billboard, and it's right next to what restaurant on North High Street? Tell us first what the restaurant is at 99700, and you will get that gift card. Stone Temple Pilots on the Morning Blitz, 624. That's Kelly Quinn. I'm Thick Rick. Our Morning Blitz trivia question this morning. PETA put up an anti-meat billboard right next to this North High Street restaurant. What was that restaurant? And it was McDonald's.
Yes.
Over on North High Street. and they used a billboard that said, well, it was a picture of a chicken with the phrase, "It's me, not meat."
Yes. They do these billboards in front of, they'll do one with a cow that says, "See me, not meat," or one with a crab in front of a seafood restaurant. "It's me, not meat."
Okay, so it's like the animal is telling us that they're like an individual.
Yes.
Hey, look, I'm here.
I'm a being. I'm not your food.
That's what I thought it meant. All right. I just want to make sure. That was what I got from the message.
Yes.
And I get it. That's okay. Yeah, they felt it was, people think it's a response to the new chicken Big Mac, which,
Yeah, because it feels like they should have a cow next to a cow billboard next to a McDonald's, but since they introduced the new chicken Big Mac, I get it.
Yeah. So, okay, I get it.
It's a point of view.
It is. Yeah. I don't know, does that stop anybody? If you were going to McDonald's, I'm going to go try this chicken Big Mac, and then you see that sign.
Maybe. I don't know. I think they would think if it stopped one person, it would be a success.
Yeah,
for them,
I suppose. I suppose so.
And you don't know when things will hit you in terms of like things that really shape your life.
Yeah.
You don't know. Certain things can happen, and all of a sudden, boom, it hits you right in the chest, and you're like, you know what? Today's the day I go vegan. That particular thing has never hit my chest, but I get it. Those are kind of some life-changing moments.
It tried. I knocked it out.
Yeah. You
get away from my meat.
Boxed it back. Oh.
So you know who Pharrell is?
Yes.
Yeah, this guy.
Yes.
He worked at McDonald's 3 different times. He worked at McDonald's.
Okay.
And each time he ended up getting fired.
Oh,
it's all right. He said, McDonald's was my first and only job, and I got fired 3 times. I was eating the chicken nuggets.
Oh, tough not to pop those nugs right in your mouth.
He said, actually, the first 2 times it was just because I was lazy, but the 3rd time they were like, "What are you doing? You're just sitting around eating nuggets."
With my sweet McDonald's discount.
Yeah. Maybe he wasn't even using the discount.
Maybe.
I know how that works, believe me.
That's right.
I spent some time at Wendy's.
You spent some time at Wendy's. Did you get like a discount, or did you get like a free meal during your shift, or
we got a discount.
You got a discount.
Yeah. Of course, we always got more than what we were
Did you?
discounted.
I don't know, man.
I like their food. I wanted to eat it.
I feel like you should get a free meal per shift if you are in any type of food service.
I do believe they eventually went that way, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's been a long time since I worked at Wendy's, obviously. Stringtown Road in Grove City.
Yeah.
But, it was funny because at one time they did this whole overnight thing where you could work overnight. So you basically closed the store at night and then cleaned it and then prepped everything for the next day.
Oh,
and
I like that shift.
And if you did that, you got all the free food you wanted, along with a raise.
Like the old food from the end of the night?
No, you could make whatever you wanted. Like you could make before you could come in and have you didn't even have to make it. You could come in and have whatever you wanted before your shift started.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, when you got done, you could have whatever you wanted for breakfast. All free.
How about that?
Yeah.
I would do that shift.
Right?
To me, that's better than working with unhappy people, unhappy customers. Not that they're unhappy, but even dealing with one unhappy
just dealing
person.
with customers.
Yeah,
I
would ruin my day.
I got
so
you. But.
I like that overnight. I'll clean at Wendy's.
I don't know how long, if they kept doing that. I know 2 of my friends did it. That worked there. They were older than me, but because I couldn't do it because I was in high school.
Yeah.
They were just out, so they were allowed to do it as adults, but you had to be over 18 to work that shift.
Now, just on a side note, I have a friend in high school. She used to work at the Burger King. It was right next to DeSales. So she would leave school and go work her shift at Burger King. And she would come. She lived right across the street from me. So she would come home, and if I saw her before she changed or whatever, she literally, would smell head to toe like Burger King.
Yeah. Oh,
grease.
Yeah. Yeah, I smelled like Wendy's.
It was just soaked into her skin.
Yep.
Could you get it off you? with a shower. I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, you just shower every day, you know. But your clothes, your shoes, all the
Everything.
shoes.
Yeah, the shoes.
The shoes,
greasy
man.
and slippery.
Yeah,
and
always.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. Ooh,
right.
but there's some good food there, huh?
Yeah, well, our buddy Goose, who we know is very, very vegan, he was actually the first one. He knew it immediately. He
Our
was
resident vegan Goose.
Yeah, he was the first one to text in, and he gets the $25 to waterbeds and stuff.
It's the Morning Blitz.
And now it's time for I've Got Something.
Let's see if these dummies have anything worthwhile for us.
6:40 on a Wednesday, and I've got something, Kelly.
Okay, what is it?
I don't know if you heard about Britney Spears and her child support situation.
No.
Well, you know, she's been making child support payments to Kevin Federline for years. And now she will get to wash her hands of Kevin Federline, which that is... It leads me to a question here in a moment, but she has one final child support payment to make. Their youngest son, Jaden James, turned 18 in September, and Brittany paid Federline $10,000 at the beginning of the month, and he gets another $10,000 on Friday, and then she is free and clear of him if she wants to be. After they got divorced in 2007, they agreed on $20,000 a month in child support for Jaden and his older brother, Sean Preston. In 2018, it went up to $40,000 because Kevin got full-time custody, so it doubled.
How are you possibly spending $40,000 per kid a month? Or was it $40,000? It doesn't matter. $40,000. Say you got $40,000 for 2 children. How are you possibly spending that money?
Oh, I don't know.
All of that money.
I don't know.
I that is a wild child support agreement.
Well, it's based on your income. So
Well, it's based on, what is her income? She's not doing anything. It's based on her net worth, maybe?
When you're rich, I don't know, because you can say, well, I'm not working right now.
And I think there is like a standard of existence that you need to maintain I'm not saying the kids don't deserve it. I'm just like, that is just an outrageous amount of money. And I just wonder, I'm like, is Kevin Federline living high on the hog on Britney's child support money?
I have no doubt, and I'm sure the kids are too. You know.
They live in Hawaii, right?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Is that where they live?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not cheap either.
Yeah, Preston turned 18 last year, so it went back.
Preston?
Yeah, Sean Preston, yeah. It went back down to $20,000 after that. And now Jaden James has turned 18, so.
Listen, that probably sounded bad. I don't begrudge those kids, but their, support money.
Right.
But it boggles my mind how you have such a high judgment.
From where we sit.
Right.
But I mean, she was worth what, $200-300 million?
Yeah. Plus, they're used to that lifestyle.
Right. So I mean.
Yeah. I guess it all comes out in the wash.
It was 2007, so we're talking about 17 years.
Yeah.
So we're talking about $3.5 million out of her $200-300 million. I mean, it's nothing to her.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much she still has, how much has been pillaged from her, but But then my question is, do you stop, even though you can?
I don't know. If your kids are adults at that point, 18 and 20 or whatever, however old they are, I guess if they need money or they're going off to college or whatever, you can just pay them directly. You just give them the money.
Exactly.
You're not going to stop supporting your children.
Yeah, you can pay for their college.
But they don't see her. They won't even, they refuse to see her, right?
Well, that's where I was going next, because I thought that was the case. Like, they don't have a relationship anymore, right?
I don't think so.
So, I mean, if you're not going to acknowledge me as your mother and you're not going to come see me, I'm not sending you a dime. I mean,
that'd be a tough one, because I'm sure that's probably her greatest desire in the world is to have a relationship with her boys. Yeah. And so maybe she would keep the lines of communication open. But I would say, if you want money, you need to talk to me. You need to come see me.
Yesterday, Kevin told his boys, we're moving to Alabama. No, I'm kidding. He didn't really say that.
How does
the money?
Does Mississippi sound?
The money's gone. We got to leave Hawaii. What you got?
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Remember how outraged we were and still are about Peanut, the squirrel?
Yes.
Right? Social media star. Somebody reported Peanut's owner, Mark Longo, in upstate New York. Somebody reported him and said, hey, I think this guy's got an illegal pet, illegal wildlife, and you need to go check it out. He's had this squirrel for 6 years, 7 years, something like that, since it was a tiny little baby squirrel, because its parent was run over by a vehicle, and this little tiny baby infant squirrel was left on the side of the road. Mark Longo took it in, has raised it. So anyway, they all came busting in his house. These conservation people took the squirrel and a raccoon that somebody had left.
Searched this place for 5 hours.
5 hours, made him sit outside, wouldn't even let him feed his other animals.
Right.
They claimed that Peanut the squirrel bit someone, so they needed to take Peanut and the raccoon Fred.
Yeah, he bit one of the guys that came in and were searching.
Supposedly. Now, the owner said, I didn't see any of this happen. Obviously, he wasn't around.
Well, no, I'm saying that's what they said.
That's what they claim.
But will you come into my house, try to take me? I'm going to bite you, too.
So they're like, well, we have to put Peanut, the media sensation squirrel, we have to put Peanut down now to test for rabies because this guy got bit. Well, guess what? They put both Peanut and Fred down, tested both for rabies, and both came back negative for rabies.
I wonder if he's going to be able to win a lawsuit here.
I don't know, because he did not have the proper paperwork. He did run an animal sanctuary out of his property.
Yeah.
And said he was in the process of getting the proper paperwork for Peanut, but did not have it. Now, listen, you had 6 years to do that, so it's a shame, and it's awful the way this worked out, and that poor family is really suffering. But I don't know what he can do if he didn't have the proper paperwork.
Just severe overreaction.
I mean, come on.
There's serious criminals out there, man. And how much manpower and time you spent on this.
And it's not the police. It's the Department of Environmental Conservation that did it. So, just look for the animal abusers out there. What are we messing with Peanut for?
Yeah, this is somebody who's saving, he rescues animals. He's got rescue horses and...
Yep.
He's got, like you said, he's got a sanctuary.
So to add salt to the wound, Peanut the squirrel did not have rabies, which we all knew anyway.
And Peanut was like a social media star.
Oh yeah,
raised
500,000 followers.
Raised all kind of money for that sanctuary. Yep. So I know they're getting a lot of donations, so that's good.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think you could. Put that time and effort into something a little...
If I was one of those agents, and I was in that house for 5 hours, now I'm getting blasted everywhere, I'd be thinking, I pray that animal had rabies. I pray it did, just to justify, but it didn't. You guys are all wrong, and I hope something's done about it. They said they have launched an internal investigation. They're investigating themselves over this.
Yeah, our procedures, and why, do you think you did something wrong? Why? Great days on the Morning Blitz, 6:51 with Kelly Quinn and Thick Rick. And Kelly, you remember it was back like in the spring. We heard this story about the remote tribe in the Amazon rainforest.
Yes.
And they got internet access from Starlink, from Elon Musk sent Starlink down there, and they got internet access for the very first time. And we heard this report on it.
Right away, the internet was a huge hit, and people were on it all the time, so much that it became a problem for the hunting and the farming that are necessary for their way of life. And so what the Mervo leaders did is nowadays, in almost all of the villages, the internet is only on for several hours in the morning and several hours in the evening, and then all day Sunday.
And so everybody was happy when it arrived, but the one of the tribe leaders said the young people got lazy because of it, and half the people became addicted to porn.
Yeah, like within 5 seconds,
just
they're on
boom.
bigboobs.com, like right there.
Wait a minute. Can I get to that website? What is that? Is there a website called bigboobs.com? The tribe leader said they were already dealing with group chats full of gossip, addictive social networks, abusive online strangers, hours and hours of sports streaming, violent video games, scams, misinformation, and a lot of watching porn. So it has happened again in a different part of the world.
Okay, so we're repeating the test, and it's coming out the same way.
Well, this wasn't a test. So, because there's a scary part to this, but it has nothing to do with this. In North Korea, they have smartphones, but they're only as smart as North Korea allows them to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're very limited. They pretty much can only access content from North Korea.
Yeah.
You know, like they can't
you
get
can only
on
worship
TikTok
worship your leader.
Yeah,
that's all
much,
you can do.
Yeah, pretty much just North Korean propaganda is what you can get on the internet on your smartphone in North Korea. Well, you know, as scary as this part is, you know, North Korea sent 11,000 troops to Russia, which we believe is to help with their fight against Ukraine. But their cell phones now have access to the entire internet. So these North Korean soldiers are all buried in porn now that they didn't know existed.
They're worthless.
It's like
they're all calling in sick every day so you can spend the day on the internet.
It says they are, quote, gorging on porn.
Oh my gosh.
Every time you look at one, they're watching some naked girl dance on their phone, it says. Or so typical.
So they're all going to defect. We know that.
Right. I'm never going back. You fight your own war. I'm out of here.
That's right.
I just want to go sit with my phone for the rest of my life. Oh, my gosh. It is unbelievable, isn't it? How addictive. So quick.
I guess we're all the same. The human brain we're all sort of addicted to these screens now, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah, so you guys are going to need some other soldiers, I'm thinking now. These guys are going to be useless to you.
And now, 3 things you need to know before you go.
Oh, is it time for me to do the news now?
Kelly, I don't know what you were doing over there.
I was waiting for you to start.
What?
All right. Well, we talked about yesterday. You remember how there were Haitian gangs that were firing shots at landing planes, and a Spirit Airlines plane was hit on the runway in Port-au-Prince. Well, the Spirit Airlines is like, yeah, we're good. We're not going to fly into Port-au-Prince anymore. I mean, at least for now. We're going to wait. Well, the FAA is now prohibiting all U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti for the next 30 days. Because apparently not only did the Spirit Airlines plane get shot at, a JetBlue aircraft was also hit by a bullet on Monday. So the FAA is like, we're good. 30 days, we're not flying into Haiti at all until this gets figured out. Now, they have a huge gang problem in Haiti, and they just had this really contentious election, and they swore in their new prime minister this week, and so everything's so heated in Haiti right now. The FAA is like, we're good. We're good for now. A child who was allegedly abducted in New York City is safe after being found here in Columbus. So local police, contacted by New York City detectives who tracked the suspect's phone right to Central Ohio, SWAT officers reportedly found an adult man and the child inside a Wendy's near 70 and Wilson Road yesterday, took them into custody. Officials say the child's 6 or 7 years old, so alive and well, which is great news. A Wisconsin man faked his own drowning this summer so he could abandon his family and flee to Eastern Europe with some honey he met on the internet. August 11th, Ryan Borgwart went out kayaking, and he texted his wife just before 11 p.m. and said, "Hey, I'm heading to shore. I'll be home shortly." Of course, he never returned home. His wife contacted the sheriff's department, and pretty quickly they found Ryan's vehicle and trailer near the lake, and then they found his overturned kayak with a life jacket attached, so they knew he wasn't wearing a life jacket. For the next 50 days, they searched for Ryan's body. Divers explored the lake. They searched 1,500 acres of that lake, often in more than 100 feet of water.
Wow.
Investigators then discovered that Ryan reported his passport lost in May and had gotten a new one. They analyzed his laptop, which, by the way, they found that the day he disappeared, he had replaced the hard drive and cleared the browsers. But they were able to find communication between a woman in Uzbekistan and Ryan.
It's never gone.
And he'd taken out a brand new life insurance on himself. So I guess he was still trying to provide for his family, even in the wake of his...
well, that was nice of him.
His
that was
crisis,
thoughtful.
his midlife crisis.
That was very thoughtful.
So investigators just yesterday announced that they believe Ryan is alive and living in Uzbekistan. And they will be pursuing restitution for search expenses. Otherwise, I believe it's a family matter beyond
so
that.
There goes all the life insurance money.
I hope they don't take that away from the wife.
Well,
I don't know if he was
he's
ever
not dead.
Yeah,
So.
He wasn't, I don't think formally, maybe he was pronounced dead, but
Yeah, I don't think she got the money.
yeah.
So
It just feels weird. Why don't you just get a divorce, man? Get a divorce and move to Uzbekistan. What are you doing here?
Well, I think, this way it was a way to leave them with, he thought, I understand the thought of the plan.
Do you?
Yeah, you're gonna leave your family with money.
Okay.
You don't hurt their view of you, how they feel about it.
Self-preservation, because you're like torturing them with the thought that their loved one died and drowned.
But he didn't cheat on mom and abandon us, and look, and
you're
we're set up financially. And
he looks like a hero to everyone involved, even the little lady in Uzbekistan.
But this makes him look like the biggest scumbag on the planet now.
Idiot.
Oh, wow.
All right, those are your three things.
Five-Finger Death Punch and Afterlife on the Morning Blitz, 7:10 with Kelly and Rick. And the award for the worst self-help video ever made goes to AI.
Okay.
How to survive falling off a skyscraper.
Well, okay, let's see. Is it possible? Has a soul ever survived that fall?
What is it? Do you say whenever you're up on a high place and you look down, you think about?
Yeah, I have an urge, or like it's an instant feeling, not an urge to jump, but just this. It overwhelms me. This feeling of what would it feel like to jump or fall from this height. Like I'm instantly. That is what I'm thinking. Or, like, what if I accidentally jumped? What if some urge came over me and I accidentally just took a leap? That completely overwhelms my thoughts if I'm up on a high place.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, AI has the answer to your question.
Let's hear it.
If you fall off a skyscraper, there are a few things you can do to increase your chances of survival. First, relax your body by moving your arms and legs to keep them loose. Then, aim to land on something that can break your fall, like a tree, instead of the concrete. If possible, position yourself to land on your feet to distribute the shock through your legs. But try to roll upon impact to reduce injury.
You try to roll upon impact.
Come on. That is nuts.
And of course, there's always so many trees around skyscrapers,
Yeah, right.
Now I do know, skydivers, they can, set their body away to make so that they can glide themselves in a certain direction and stuff. But they're falling, 20,000 feet. They have the time.
Well, plus they've got a parachute.
Well, no, but I mean, before, while you're free falling, before you pull the chute,
okay.
They can, how they'll do the tricks when the groups, they'll get in the circles and stuff, and, they can turn their body, they'll be flat, and then they can turn and direct themselves in a different direction and go faster.
Well, I've been skydiving.
Yeah.
And I had, what do you call the dude who's on your back? Your tandem guy?
Yeah.
And you do fall. You'd think that you just start spinning out of control,
right.
But it is very controlled, that free fall.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And they can actually adjust, like use their arms and legs like a rudder.
But I know that I couldn't flap my arms and legs hard enough to prevent being absolutely smashed on the ground. If I
just don't think you have the time that you have when you're skydiving. You have so much more time to adjust and do things that you don't have the time to do if you're just falling off a skyscraper. You're not 30,000 feet in the air,
Just start flapping your arms and see what happens.
Well, my favorite thing, you fall, 50, 100 stories, and you think just, okay, that's right, I'm going straight down on my legs, and I'm gonna drop and roll as soon as I hit. No, you're gonna be an accordion, and done. It's over.
Never lose hope, though. That's what AI does for us.
So-
You never lose hope.
For those of you who really depend on AI for answers to questions, you just remember this. White Zombie on the Morning Blitz, 725. That's Kelly Quinn. I'm Thick Rick. And Kelly, Jeremy texted in. You know, we were talking about how this AI tried to tell you how you could survive falling off a skyscraper.
Yes.
And I asked you about your thoughts when you were up on top of a high place. Jeremy texted in and said, Kelly, it's the call of the void. A psychological phenomenon that describes the sudden urge to do something dangerous, such as jumping from a high place or driving into oncoming traffic. The call of the void is a common experience. It's not a sign of insanity or malevolence. It's a manifestation of how our minds process complex emotions, fears, and curiosities.
I always considered it like an intrusive thought. Where you're afraid that you might do something that's completely out of left field, weird, embarrassing, dangerous.
The call of the void.
Yeah.
How about that?
It is an intrusive thought, I will tell you that, but it only happens when I'm in situations like that. I don't have any other, I don't feel like I'm going to strip naked and run in front of church and start, some people have those weird intrusive thoughts where you're like, what if I accidentally, sacrificed a human being on, in the middle of Broad Street.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Weird, intrusive, criminal thoughts people have.
The call of the void. It's okay
I don't
to
have
think
those.
it. Just don't do it.
I don't have that, but I do feel like, what if I accidentally jumped?
Doug said, when I was a kid, I jumped off our shed with a sheet around me to see if I could fly. I can't fly. Another text said, it's not the falling that kills you, it's the landing.
That's true.
All right. So yesterday, for the first time in my life, I heard of a meal called milk toast.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm glad you've never heard of it either. I feel a little better now.
Like I said, I've heard of the phrase.
Well,
but
it sounds like, I have too. And I also remember the little dude named Milk Toast in the Far Side comic strip. But anyway, it's just bland, boring. Yeah. Well, no, it's actually, I can tell you the recipe right now. The ingredients are thick slices of firm bread.
Okay.
Whole milk.
Okay.
Butter for the toast. And cinnamon and granulated sugar or brown sugar to taste. So you toast the bread well, generously butter the slices, cut the toast into cubes. Meanwhile, in a small pot over medium heat, warm the milk until simmering, season with the cinnamon and sugar as desired, and then pour the warm milk over the toast and serve immediately. Eat like cereal.
I don't think so.
So you're making, it's homemade cereal.
So.
It's homemade cereal. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's basically Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but homemade. That's all this is.
Okay, I have a friend. She was actually one of my old. Remember when I told you I had 8 roommates? Well, she was one of those roommates, and she used to make white rice and pour milk over the cooked rice and put sugar on it.
Yes.
And make this rice cereal.
Yeah, it's almost like grits, but it's rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not horrible, but it's also not something I would choose, but it had a decent flavor. It was just kind of weird.
Have you ever had Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all this is. It's cinnamon
and
toast
because
and milk.
The Cinnamon Toast Crunch has some type of chemical on it that keeps it from behaving like bread.
Well, that's why
milk.
they say toast it very well. It says toast the bread well. If you
no thanks.
Google, there are all, and there's all. Oh, and people will fancy this up beyond. This is just the most basic recipe.
Yeah.
If you Google,
basic is right.
Milk toast recipes, you're going to see all kinds of stuff.
I feel like this is what you do when you are in those periods of life where you're really struggling financially, and you have to figure out sort of how to eat
cheap cereal,
what you've got in your house,
right?
Yeah. But we've all been there.
Yeah. But I guess it's also more of a country thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But, I mean... Katie said, sounds like peasant food.
Right.
Serena says, sounds like an odd version of French toast. I thought that, too. I thought that as well. But, I saw it was all over the internet. I'm like, how have I all my life?
Well, let me hit you with this.
Forever.
Cinnamon toast, cinnamon sugar toast. You know how you would toast it, butter, cinnamon sugar on it?
Yeah.
Just do that and cut out the milk.
You just drink milk on the side.
Exactly.
But this is warm milk.
No. I don't need any of that.
I wasn't trying to push it on you.
That just sounds like I'm going to be like I'm going to have a bunch of soggy bread in my mouth. Just swirling around in there, soggy bread chunks. No, thank you.
This text said, we used to eat that all the time when we were kids. It's called toast souffle. Another text said, rice, milk, and honey. Captain Redbeard said, Kelly, that's pretty much like rice pudding that you're talking about.
Kind of, but you eat it as sort of a cereal. It's not...
Right.
It's not like a cream of wheat or something like that.
Right.
It's more like it is soupy.
Yeah.
And sugary.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's just sugar rice milk. That's all
sugar rice milk, exactly.
Led Zeppelin on the Morning Blitz at 7:41 with Kelly Quinn and Thick Rick. We got a few texts about the milk toast.
Yes.
Anthony said, sounds like poor man's bread pudding. Andy said, the toast you're talking about, it's actually a fantastic song by the band Helmet.
Joanne says the rice Kelly's talking about is a version of Mexican sweet rice called atole.
All right.
Interesting.
Tara says soggy bread chunks. Ew. Tracy said look up cinnamon toast crunch bacon. Ew.
We got a text that said rice, milk, and honey.
Yeah. All right.
Warm her up. My roommate did rice, milk, and brown sugar. It was weird. I gotta admit, it was a bizarre taste.
Wendy eats warm rice, milk, and honey. Brad said used to eat the milk toast all the time, minus the milk. Was a childhood delicacy. Well, yeah, that's just toast with cinnamon and sugar then. Yeah, buttered toast. Yeah,
everybody loves that.
Heck, I'd
eat that right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. But anyway.
All right.
And then Jeff Smith said, have you guys ever had a bird in the nest or S on a shingle? And I'm like, I didn't.
Oh, bird in the nest. I've heard of that. Where you put an egg in the middle of some toast or something. You cut a hole in the toast. Crack an egg in there.
Put it in a pan put the bread in the pan of bacon grease and then, do the egg in the middle. Huh.
Sounds tasty.
Or corned beef hash, he said, was another. Okay, all right.
I tried it once, but the egg didn't get done, so gross. And then I never wanted to do it again because it was so disgusting. In theory, it's a great idea, though, Jeff.
So yesterday, a friend of ours texted us a picture of this place in Columbus that is no longer open and said, man, I never got to go here. And I said, what is it? And he said what it was, and Kelly's like, Rick's trying to say he's never been there. I'm not buying it. Kelly wasn't having it. She could not believe I have never been to this place.
All right, he was texting both of us separately before we merged texts,
right.
All right? So he sent me the picture, and I go, oh, City Center. I love that place. And he said, yeah, Rick's trying to tell me that he's never been there before. I go, never been to City Center? There's no way.
Right.
And then we merged texts. And Thick's next text, and I will read it to you exactly as it came through, said, I was friggin' poor. Why would I go to City Center Mall? I went to Westland for movies and video games.
That was it, man.
I was friggin' poor.
That was my mall experience back then.
I just went for the ambiance. City Center was peak mall. I mean, it was 3 levels. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I told you that I would go frequently. I used to work downtown. So I would go after work. I would go straight to Mr. Bulky's because they had bulk candy, which, I mean, to me, I was in my, late 20s.
Right,
well, I
sure.
still eat bulk candy. What am I talking about? But I get bags of bulk candy and walk around and just see the sights, especially at Christmas. It was absolutely gorgeous. I just went to be there in the ambiance. I loved it. But if I did need to go shopping, City Center was the place. I absolutely loved it, and I can't believe you missed it.
Yeah, and the picture that he sent, I'm looking at it. I'm
gorgeous.
I'm like, is this in Los Angeles? Or is what I was thinking. This is like some L.A. fancy-ass mall.
It was right down the street from you, Thick Rick, and you never went.
Multiple levels and the glass elevators, and I'm like, what is it? What is this? I've never been to this place.
It was open for 20 years. You had 20 years to get there, and you never did.
Never once. Never... I
never
had a reason.
I can't believe it. But also, as a kid, I was dying to go to the Howard Johnsons on 161 because they had that kind of A-frame-ish building.
Yeah, sure.
And I thought it kind of looked like, I don't know, one of those enchanted, like, houses that you would read in, fairy tales.
You just wanted to know what was inside.
Like, that looks like an enchanted house. That Howard Johnson's, I really have to go in there. Do you think I ever got to go? No. So I missed out on the A-frame Howard Johnson's on 161. So I feel your pain.
I don't have any pain. I don't.
But now looking back, it would have been
just looking
an
at the picture, it's a pretty cool looking mall.
It sure was.
So we had stepped into the future then.
Yes.
Like we were like trying to be like New York-ish.
Yeah.
I felt like.
It's too bad it failed.
Yeah, why did it fail?
It failed because of the malls that were created, like Tuttle and then Easton.
See, I did go to Tuttle.
And Polaris.
Okay.
So that's sort of, it ate up the clientele for City Center. And by the time it ended, City Center, at its peak, City Center had 144 tenants on 3 floors, at its peak. Mm-hmm. When it finally died out and was closed and bulldozed, it had 8 tenants.
Oh, geez.
In that 3-story mall, 8 tenants. And there was like crime in there. People would get in there, like kids or whatever. And it just went downhill really quickly.
We are getting several texts. So Jay said, if you were a breakdancer and you didn't go to City Center, it's kind of hard to believe. Was that a big deal at City Center?
They would do like performances and things like that on the first floor, and I just only remember Christmas time. They would have big choirs and big performances. But
what year did it open?
It opened in 1989.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I don't know. He said, I was poor and we still went and ran around City Center. Everybody did.
You just run around. You don't have to buy anything.
He said, but like the first year they were open, I remember somebody got shot and killed in there. Or maybe not died, but they got shot.
I don't remember that. I don't. I remember in the later struggling couple of years that they did have some crime there. But Kevin said, I used to go to Spinnaker's with my mom to eat. Absolutely.
Yeah, Jay's not buying it either. I didn't. I never went. Leland texted us. I never went to City Center either, Rick.
Yeah.
Dominic said that was the mall back in the day.
It was.
I never went. And then Kelly's like, you never went to City Center Mall or ice skated at Centrum? And I'm like, well, now wait a minute. Those are 2 different things.
They are 2 different things. And Centrum, I think it was only around maybe for a season.
Yeah.
One time downtown.
I went to Centrum.
Ice skating.
I went to Centrum and ice skated one time, and I never tried to ice skate again.
That
ever.
is peak downtown experience. It was ice skating. I thought that was cool.
I was great at roller skating, but ice skating,
It's tough on the old ankles.
Yeah, I couldn't keep them straight. I was they kept falling. They were on sideways. Yeah. I was like, how no, I'm done. Give me my roller skates back. I got 4 wheels. I got balance. I can't, this is crazy.
Yes. But Jason says at the Hojo on 161, a lot of floor parties back in the early 2000s. That was a fun place. See, Jason, I never got to go. All I wanted to do was sit down and order some pancakes at the A-frame Howard Johnson's. Never got to do it. I had so many just fantasies about what a fairy tale it would be inside that Howard Johnson's. And it sounds like it really was. Lots of parties. Now, Thick, you did tell me that you got to experience something downtown that not a lot of kids did, thanks to your grandfather.
Oh, well, yeah. He was the chief engineer at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, so listen to this fancy life that Thick Rick had as a kid.
Okay, it wasn't like...
I need to tell the story.
Not like we were living there, but sometimes we'd go down and stay for the weekend.
Yeah.
Because they had a pool, and we didn't have to pay. We got a nice room up on the top floor. And
the restaurant. Tell the restaurant story.
I could go into the restaurant and order anything I wanted for free.
Oh, good for you.
I was a kid though, but yeah,
Now that's a fun experience.
Yeah, I learned their menu well. They got to know me well.
I bet.
But yeah, so okay. Hey, we got a weekend getaway. Where are we going? The hotel downtown.
It's still fun though. As a kid, you get to swim and order anything off the menu.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah. I felt a little like royalty.
I bet.
One time in my life.
Yes.
And now, all right, I'm listening. 3 things you need to know before you go.
The driver charged in the August crash that killed Columbus Blue Jackets forward Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew appeared in a New Jersey court yesterday. It was a pre-indictment conference for 43-year-old Sean Higgins, which allowed the attorneys to discuss whether a plea deal would be possible. As yet, no plea deal has been offered, but prosecutors want the case reviewed by a grand jury for indictment. So they talked about all that. The whole thing lasted about 5 minutes, but let me tell you, the Gaudreau family was in the courtroom. I believe they will be at every second of these proceedings to see what happens here. Indianapolis authorities are investigating after a man was found dead in a tanning bed at Planet Fitness 3 days after he went in. 39-year-old Derek Sink walked into the Planet Fitness this past Friday and never came home. By Sunday, his family filed a missing persons report. On Monday, Planet Fitness called police to report a body found in a tanning bed, and it was Sink. Now, his family says, listen, the reason they waited a couple days to even file the missing persons report is that Sink has a drug abuse problem, and indeed, a needle was found in the Planet Fitness tanning bed room where he was, and they do believe that's how he passed away. The curious thing, though, is how a body can be in a tanning bed for 3 days without anyone at the business discovering him. Planet Fitness has suspended its tanning service for now. I don't think I'd want to know, like, who, can you tell me which tanning bed? Like, you got to replace that tanning bed, I would think, after 3 days of a human body being in it.
Doug Rogers says, again, we go back yesterday talking about Final Destination. He said everything goes back to Final Destination. There's Final Destination 3, there's a tanning bed scene, and
did they get fried to death?
They definitely had to replace those tanning beds.
Yuck.
Oh, it was rough, man. Okay. That's a rough one.
Yikes. All right. Well, I want to tell you a little story about something called exit trafficking. I had never heard of it before. And an Australian man has just been convicted of exit trafficking. Let me tell you his story. Back in 2014, Mohammed Omer booked a 1-month family vacation in Sudan with his wife and his 2 young kids. Once the family arrived in Sudan, Omer took his kids and his wife's passport and ID and flew back to Australia, leaving her stranded in Africa with no ID. She reaches out to the Australian embassy for help. She's like, my husband took off with my passport and my ID. I need to get back to Australia. They said, hey, your visa's been canceled. There's not a lot we can do right this second. Like, we're going to need to figure this out. It took 16 months. This woman was in Sudan for 16 months before she could go home and be back with her children. She was finally issued a temporary visa to get back to Australia and sort of work the rest of it out. So this man, this happened in 2014. 10 years later, he's finally in court for it. He was on trial for a month, was convicted, and now sentenced to 4.5 years behind bars. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
So exit trafficking, Australia defines it as coercing or forcing another person to leave their home country against their will.
I'd have been like, honey, you're home. I've been so worried you finally got back to me.
16 months. We've been doing everything to try to get you back home. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Now that
what
is
a
cold.
plan.
That is diabolical.
I'm trying to think of which is worse, that one or the dude that faked his death.
This one's worse.
Yeah, he left an insurance. He tried to leave an insurance policy. Yeah. So, this guy, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
evil.
Yeah, that's a psychopathic mind comes up with that plan.
I think
right?
so.
Both of those guys.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. All right. Those are your 3 things.
Okay, so when we were talking about City Center Mall, we started getting all kind of texts about, did you guys ever go to After the Gold Rush? And all, there's all these other places that used to exist, which like Dallas and Atlantis, which were both the same. They changed names. There was Rainbows and Coconut Beach Club on the west side.
Oh, yeah.
That one changed a couple times. But where's everybody go now? What are the, because I'm not really a clubber anymore. Even then I was like Al Rosa. Now I'm King of Clubs. That's the club. That's the best club. That's why it's called King of Clubs.
But
that's
it's
where
sort
I
of a different type of club.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about like a dance club. You have a DJ.
Yeah.
Like, we used to go to East Dallas all the time. We used to go to After the Gold Rush all the time. We would go to campus, to the campus bars, just for like the dancing.
Right.
And all that.
Yeah.
Do people still... Is there some cool place to go like that right now?
There's places on Front Street.
What are they? Give me some names, folks.
Yeah, just 99,700. Where do people go to dance and go to clubs? What are the best clubs in Columbus? I don't know. I've just been out of that scene for a long time. So, yeah, but I got to wondering, because I remember where we went. Where are people going now? Lincoln Park on the Morning Blitz, 8:10. It's Kelly Quinn, Dick Rick. And apparently there's not too many clubs around, or at least none of you guys know where they are. I saw one for sure called the Go-Go. Alexis said her friends go to the Go-Go, but doesn't know where it is because never been there.
All right, Jen says Black Swan Bar and Grill for country line dancing in Hilliard. So that's fun.
Oh, all right.
Good country line dancing bar. Black Swan. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, I know there's one up somewhere up north because, it used to be in Cahoots there, which was also R&R back in the day and is now King of Clubs.
Right. Yes, I know Axis is still around. They have Ace of Cups. I've been to Ace of Cups, I think, for a local band thing. That was kind of cool.
Ace of Cups is like a rock club.
Yes.
It's definitely, like a metal club. You walk in that place and you're like, yeah, this is heavy metal history right here.
You remember Mecca?
I remember Mecca.
I saw Rick Springfield at Mecca, and I drank 5 gin and tonics, and I was so sick.
Oh, really?
So sick.
5? You drank 5 gin and tonics?
Yes.
I wish I'd
That
been
was
there
out of
for
control,
that.
man. Out of control. I did get to see Rick Springfield, I think. Remember the garage. We used to have a blast. We'd go to the garage and dance. No, it was like, I think I was maybe 21. I
think that's still there, isn't it?
The garage is?
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah, I think we used to do
very fun.
Friday night Buckeye parties there, if I remember
All
correctly.
Right.
You mentioned Mecca. We had, I want to say, was this maybe the Blitz 7th or 8th anniversary concert? It was Creed at Mecca.
Was there?
Yeah. They had just started to blow up.
Yep. We'd go and dance at the Elephant Club. Remember on the North End? Elephant Bar. Sorry, Elephant Bar. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Elephant Bar. Banana Joe's. Do you remember Banana Joe's?
Yeah.
Yucatan Liquor Stand.
Elephant Bar was kind of a cool place. They did all kinds of stuff. They used to have Didn't they used to have friends watch parties at Elephant Bar?
Yeah, I feel like we did like a Survivor Season 1 watch party there or something.
Yeah, they used to do watch parties for big TV shows at the bar there. But because it was on 161, just right next to the Continent. Right across from the Continent. But but nobody's got... I'm not seeing...
Maybe things are just...
I'm not seeing anybody texting in really places that, what are the great clubs now?
Doug says he parties at your mom's house.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, she likes to party, Doug. Tristan says, I love going to Athens to bar hop down there. Lucky's and Cat's Eye are my 2 favorite spots.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Byron says, I missed out on what was it about the hookers in front of the convenience store you guys were talking about last week?
Yeah.
That was Roscoe's. And Jay just said, I'm at Roscoe's right now getting a blunt wrap.
I don't think they're supposed to be offering that service anymore.
It's just a wrap. Just the wrap. No, you got to put your own.
Oh, they said no paraphernalia anymore. They're not allowed to sell it.
I don't think the blunt wraps are sold to be blunt wraps.
What are they sold as? Cigarette wraps?
I don't know. They kind of look like a cigar.
I got.
I don't know. I've never rolled a blunt. Like I said, I've only ever used regular rolling papers. I've never actually rolled a blunt.
Well, they're playing fast and easy with the new rules over there.
I don't know, man.
Casey says, did you read this one already? I have college-age kids. The place to go is Standard Hall in the Short North.
Standard Hall, okay.
Otherworld on the east side, but that's not a club, is it? That's just like an art experience, isn't it?
Well, see, that's what's happened, Kelly.
I guess everything's sort of changed.
Did you mention Yucatan Liquor Stand?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
All
absolutely.
Right.
That was a great one.
We used to go to a club called Outlands, the Old Corner Cafe, PBR. I think PBR's still there, isn't it? The country bar up north? Is that the one I was thinking of?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
Somebody said off of Dublin Road, there's a place called Dance Edge. It's a lot of Latin dancing, and it's a ton of fun.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's...
West Church Social in Newark. It's an arcade bar.
All right.
So, yeah, I guess you have to have more than... dancing. You have to offer more of an experience these days.
I need video games. I like video games wherever I'm at.
The Lazy Chameleon in Powell. That's been around forever. Yeah, people still going there.
All right, so there are a few places.
Yeah.
Very good. Seether on the Morning Blitz at 8:24 with Kelly Quinn and Thick Rick. Kelly, the monkeys down in South Carolina, there's still a few they have not recovered.
Okay.
And the question I have is, who really owns those monkeys?
Well, the company Alpha Genesis breeds them.
Yes. But who owns them?
It feels like Alpha Genesis. If they bought the original monkeys that they were breeding, I mean, if I bought 2 dogs and bred them, I would be the owner of the offspring.
Yes, you would, and that's correct. And if your dog got out, if Moses got out and a neighbor found him, your neighbor couldn't just keep Moses.
Right.
Do you know why?
Because it's immoral?
Well, aside from that, technically, as far as the law is concerned, the reason you couldn't keep somebody else's dog just because the dog got out and you happened to find it, you couldn't take it home and keep it, is because it's a domestic animal.
Right, but this is a business that purchased their rhesus monkeys and breed them for biomedical testing. They're their animals. That's absolutely, there is no case. I am telling you that you maybe think like somebody who owns some zebras down the street in a semi-rural place, they have, and they escaped. I would say you could take those zebras away from that person because they aren't caring for them correctly.
All right, well, yeah, and I mean, this is, Alpha Genesis has been fined for monkeys escaping in the past.
Oh, okay. The story's getting a little clearer.
These monkeys are about the size of a cat.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If one of these monkeys, who the lab has said pose no threat to the public and carry no infectious diseases, do they now have a legal claim to freedom? The legal status of wild animals is more contested than ever, okay? So they may have this strong financial incentive to recapture these escaped, I use the word escaped monkeys. But long-standing legal doctrines suggest that any monkeys still at large may not belong to the company as long as they remain free and outside of its custody.
Okay, so what happens if me, like a neighbor, I found one of them?
The monkey?
I said, this monkey's not going back to be tested on. I'm not doing that. It's against my moral code, so I'm keeping the monkey. Would I have a case to keep one of these escaped monkeys?
State officials and members of the public might be legally protected in rescuing these monkeys either to keep or to take to a sanctuary. Now, obviously, like I said, if Moses got out, nobody could keep him because it's a domestic animal, but the laws are much different for wild animals.
And it's still considered wild, even though they're in a company, the company confines.
Yeah, I mean, we have tigers at the zoo, but a tiger's a wild animal. That's not a domesticated animal.
I got what you're saying. Yeah. I gotcha.
Right?
Okay. So they escaped. They're wild animals in the wild, and if they can hang out there for the rest of their lives, they may have a legal protection to do so.
Yeah, it says when a captive wild animal escapes, their captor remains liable for any damage the escaped animal creates to persons or property, but they may lose ownership of the animal if somebody else rescues the animal or if it integrates into an existing wild population. So if it found another group of like monkeys, I'm home, I'm free, you can't touch me. Now you're like, well, can that really happen in South Carolina? Well, there's a 40-year-old population of that exact kind of monkey in a sanctuary in South Carolina. So if a person rescues one of those monkeys, or that monkey somehow makes it to that sanctuary, that baby's free.
Wow.
That monkey is free.
I'm rooting for these remaining monkeys on the list. I really am.
How awesome is that?
I can't even think about lab testing on animals. It makes me feel like I'm going to pass out. It just feels so awful.
I understand.
Now, I'm saying I know people have benefited in major ways with brain cancer research and all that, but still, the actual act of doing research on a living being makes me ill inside. I can't think of it. I can't even.
I understand.
So I'm rooting for these monkeys.
So, I mean, just,
go find a new family, please.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's crazy. This monkey's like, I'm not yours anymore, bitch. We're done. It's over. You're not testing me for anything
That's
ever
when you hear
again.
like those cows escape from the big old, a semi that was, a semi full of cattle bound for the butcher shop.
Right.
And they wreck and escape, and you're like, yes, go for it.
Oh man, yeah. So there's a challenge there. I hope people start looking for them. If you don't want to keep the monkey, I understand that. Just take it to the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Just rescue it and take it to the sanctuary.
Doug
man.
says make sure you do the right paperwork. Goodness.
Tool on the Morning Blitz, 8:42. That's Kelly Quinn. I'm Thick Rick. Time for a little Blitz Therapy, brought to you by Tri-State Men's Health. And this is a good one. Need all the servers' attention on this one because we have a question from this one. But this reads, I went on a first date with a guy on Friday. All is good, but he would tap his water glass with his fork to get the server's attention.
Bye.
All right.
I'm like, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom. It's the last you've seen of me.
The service wasn't slow. That's just what he did. It worked. Probably because it was annoying AF, but who does that? I even asked, will you please not do that? And he said he's always done it because servers want to know if you need them and they want to take good care of you so that they get a good tip. Well, she said the server did respond and it might have worked and he did leave her a big tip. But is this rude or should we all start doing this? That is from Lori in Grandview.
That is absolutely rude. It's like whistling at someone to get their attention or snapping your fingers at someone. You tap your fork on your water glass to get the server over. That is the most obnoxious dining habit I have ever heard.
Unless you're trying to get the bride and groom to kiss.
Yeah, that's not a dining habit.
I know, but that usually happens during dinner. I know that. I don't. Does anybody else do that? Monica just texted in and said, "Nope, you're getting nothing."
I'm leaving the date. Like, I'm not putting up with that. Number
Right.
one, like sounds like that or horn honking of this. It's like a pickaxe to the skull for me. I can't stand that sound.
Oh, just
at
the
all.
sound, yeah.
And
No, it's not a pleasant sound at all.
I think 99.999% of human beings would consider that rude to do. I don't know who this human is who thinks it's what waiters and waitresses want. A waitstaff wants you to do this. That's what this guy believes. He's insane.
Yeah, and
how did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Did you grow up at the Ritz, where you're like the wealthiest person in the whole building, and you're tapping your fork on your
right
water glass to get someone's attention?
We got what text says. Oh hell no, that's so disrespectful.
Virginia says he leaves a big tip because he knows how rude he's being.
Oh
hell no!
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's the best way to get crappy service, according to Rebecca. I agree.
She wasn't as radio friendly as you were.
Monica says you're getting nothing. Yeah, no.
Right.
Everybody's saying absolutely not.
Okay, all right. So everybody agrees. So here is my question. What is the best way to get a server's attention? The most non-rude way to really get a server's attention? I mean, if you're a server, and I'm asking servers, I want to know from the servers. This would be great for everybody to learn this. What is the best way somebody should try to get your attention? If they're having dinner, they need a refill on their drink, they didn't get ketchup or whatever. What is the best way?
Like, where are we dining where the servers aren't regularly coming to your table to ask if everything's okay?
I don't know. Sometimes, somebody calls in sick, they're extra busy,
right?
Whatever. I don't know.
I mean, just a little when they walk by, go, hey, when you get a second, when you get a second.
But now I've been at a restaurant where I didn't see my server for a long time.
Yeah.
Walking by. So, I mean, but what is the best way? I'm just curious.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the answer, too, from servers.
Nirvana on the Morning Blitz, 8:49 now. Kelly Quinn, Thick Rick, in the middle of Blitz Therapy. We had a letter here from Lori in Grandview. She went on a date with a guy who would tap on his glass with his fork to get the waiter or the server's attention. And she didn't like it at all, and he thought that was the thing to do because they want to take care of you so that you get a good tip. And she said, and he did leave a great tip, and it worked. She came over every time, so... But everybody was like, Kelly's like walking out of the date on the spot.
Especially you asked him to stop and he said, no, I always do that. So I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. This is a first date. I'm not taking it any further. We're obviously not compatible. I think what you're doing is extraordinarily rude and you're insisting on doing it. So bye.
Neon said, was Kelly a server before? Because she is spot on with her response. I'm a server of almost 30 years, and I'm disgusted by people's impatience sometimes.
Oh, I've never been a server. I commend you for 30 years of faithful service. My gosh, you have probably put up with a lot in those years.
All right. Well, we asked the question because, like, everybody agreed. Like, no, this is a deal breaker. Wouldn't date this guy. That is the rudest thing you can do. We said, what is the best way to get a server's attention that isn't rude, that is cool, but is effective? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we're getting a whole bunch.
Okay, how about this? Aaron says that you used to work at a country club, and that is actually proper etiquette to tap the glass in high society. He says it was common practice.
You called it. You said, where's
AJ,
this guy been going?
The Ritz, yeah.
Yeah, you said the Ritz, and so maybe that's what it is.
Well,
maybe that's why he does
I find high society rude. You think everybody's your servant.
Brett says, I just raise my hand. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
You just raise your hand?
People just sort of like raise their hand a little bit just to say hi when you get a second.
Just kind of like a wave?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to wave someone down, but just a little raise your hand a little bit.
Captain Redbeard said eye contact, a head nod, or a little wave.
Yeah. Okay.
Adam said groping always worked for me. Ha, ha, ha. No, Adam. Cody said he probably grew up with a chandelier in every room. All right, now don't bring this back on me. I would have never done that. I would have never tapped my glass.
Molly says, I would say make eye contact with me. Do a little wave. I'll come right over. If you are at my table and you say, excuse me, I've never had a problem with getting somebody a refill or something else they needed.
All right. Yeah, Lori says, I just raise my hand and say, excuse me when a server passes by.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, Rebecca says if you can't find your server, and that you had mentioned that, Vic, if you can't find your server, flag someone down and just ask them to send your server over.
Well, there's the whole thing, to flag someone down.
Yeah, just like a little wave.
Right,
I'm not talking about like using a lariat and roping them over to your table. Just a little tiny wave.
All right, we're getting a lot of little waves.
As polite as possible to a human being who's handling your food before you get it. I would say absolutely be the most polite you've ever been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Waves and eye contact seems to be a big one. Molly says, make eye contact with me.
Yeah.
And go ahead and do a little wave. I'll come right over.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Eric says, I yell, hey, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Yeah, I guess we're all doing the same thing. Maybe a little wave and some eye contact.
Right.
Yeah, there's no need to be clanging your glass with your fork. There's no need to be making a scene.
Chaz said that effing fancy pants douche ever at the Ritz with his fork in his glass.
Yes. Jackie says if she needs a refill or something of a drink, she just kind of puts her drink over toward the edge of the table, like, hey, I'm sort of ready for a new drink whenever you get a second. I do that move too. Well, yeah, I do that move. Or it's usually when I'm done with my food, I sort of shove my plate off to the side.
Right.
It's not like tipping over the side of the table or anything, but just like it's ready to be taken.
Now, Riley said something, and I agree with this. A good server will typically always have an eye on your table.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a good server.
But there have been times when you feel forgotten. Yeah. I know everybody has, but there's no need to cause a scene with your fork and your glass there, young man.
Yeah, because your server's sitting in the back watching TikTok videos on their phone.
Hey, everybody deserves a little break.
Not when I'm in the middle of my meal.
This guy who's tapping on his glass with his fork needs to go on a list somewhere.
A list?
You know those Facebook groups, or are we dating the same guy? Those Facebook groups? This guy needs to go in there, just as a warning.
Chaz said it, we'll call it the effing fancy pants douche
list.
Yeah.
I like it.
That do it?
Yes, perfect.
All right, Lori, so if you're asking us, Kelly, myself, all of Blitz Nation says do not go out with this guy again.
No.
What if she comes back with, but he's so rich? Well, that's why he taps his glass with a fork, because he's rich. So I guess you got to take the good with the bad. But, if anybody ever wants some free Blitz therapy, we are not registered certified therapist, but if you want an unbiased opinion on anything, you can email me, thickrick@theblitz.com. And Blitz Therapy is brought to you by Tri-State Men's Health.
And now, the 3 things you need to know before you go.
A group of business organizations in Ohio and other states are pushing President Biden to immediately release the money that Intel and other companies have been promised under the Federal CHIPS Act. A letter sent to President Biden by 18 business groups in Ohio, Oregon, New Mexico, and New York said the groups were growing concerned that federal funds associated with the CHIPS Act were not being distributed in a timely manner. Now, the CHIPS Act was passed 2 years ago and was supposed to provide nearly $53 billion in aid and other tax incentives to bring back production of semiconductors to the U.S. Now, that actually got the passage of the CHIPS Act got ground broken in Licking County for the 2 big semiconductor fabs.
And it had full bipartisan support. One of the most supported bills in a long time.
So none of that money has been passed out.
Yeah, I don't
Not
get
just
it.
to Intel, but to the other semiconductor manufacturers. Intel has been promised $8.5 billion in grants and $11 billion in low-cost loans to help finance its project in Licking County, along with Intel projects at its plants in Oregon, New Mexico, and Arizona. The Biden administration has said in the past that the money will go out before the end of this year.
Okay.
The letter to Biden said, how about in the next 30 days? That's what we're looking at here.
Well, I mean,
we need
there's
that
only
money.
45 days left.
Right, it is the end of the year, but let's make that, let's narrow that down to the next 30 days.
That is something I've heard about so much in the past couple years. I mean, he's campaigned, when he was campaigning hard about, the CHIPS Act, and it was very important. That's why it got such great bipartisan support, because Taiwan was producing 95% of the world's chips, and we needed to be self-sufficient, because we remember what happened in 2020 when we couldn't get chips. Cars and everything were sitting. Yep. So this is really important and needs to get done.
How about that? You can pass a bill and say you're going to give these companies billions of dollars, and 2 years later you haven't handed over a cent. How does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, they built the places. I thought they had to have gotten money. They built these facilities like out by your house.
Well, yeah, it's being built.
Right.
I don't know how quickly that's going now, but who knows? I mean, there are about 15, 18 cranes over there.
I know Intel is struggling as a business.
But I don't think that's the reason for the money not being maybe they wouldn't be struggling if you'd hand over the money you promised. Jeez.
Yeah, that's important, man. That needs to happen.
Yeah. President-elect Donald Trump selecting Columbus entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy to help lead his new Department of Government Efficiency. Trump says Ramaswamy and will be joining Tesla CEO Elon Musk as co-heads of the effort. The two will be tasked with reducing waste and fraud within the federal bureaucracy. Well, by now you've probably seen what happened on Wheel of Fortune Monday night. Contestant Will Jordan tried to answer the puzzle with a phrase that literally no one has ever heard of and did not even fit the spaces.
I'd like to buy you.
Well, you're going to get 3 U's.
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Okay, well, let's hear.
All right, so I just want to clarify before he guesses. The last word starts with an A and ends with A-U-S-E. It's 8 letters. The first word is 4 letters and ends with E.
Treat yourself a round of sausage.
I'm sorry, that's not it. Over to Katina.
That's not it.
I'd like to solve.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, that's it. Although, Will, I kind of like yours better. That sounds better than just clapping right
Isn't
now.
it funny? Ryan Seacrest's voice sounds very similar to Pat Sajak.
It does. It really does.
Sounds a lot like Sajak.
I agree. So yes, Jordan's guess of treat yourself to a round of treat yourself a round of sausage. He basically, Jordan, since then, said the pressure was just on and he was sweating it. And, the lights are on you and your adrenaline's running. And it's just, you just can't, get your mind together. So that's what popped out. He's a retired Coast Guard member. He works as a school resource officer. He says that he is sure, since everybody's seen this at work, he's going to be having sausages in his locker and in his police car. But Johnsonville yesterday posted a photo of a package of bratwurst with a custom random label that said treat yourself a round of sausage.
Yeah.
Spelled out in puzzle form.
Right, yeah.
And Johnsonville says, in honor of World Kindness Day, which is today, if you post a kind act you've done or observed with the hashtag keep the internet juicy, they say they will treat you to a round of sausage, which is going to be, I think, a coupon for like a package of Johnsonville brats or something. Right. So I thought that was funny and a really quick turnaround on a joke for Johnsonville. And those are your three things.